Okay, here we are revisiting a young apple tree. You could say the next chapter in our sojourn of forming a productive tree. And let me just say, form that you create via pruning and training so drives function. And this is a beautiful example of a well-formed open center apple tree that we treated in each of the last 4 winters and summers with alternately winter and summer pruning. And again, winter pruning creates the basic structure. Summer pruning refines, reduces, directs in a more specific manner what you got. What do we got? What we have is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-armed open center form that really is, well, pro forma. That is to say, the branches move up and out and into the light at about a 60, 70-degree angle. And there's good spacing horizontally between the branches to allow sunlight infiltration into the core of the tree. One of the many things I love about the simplicity and the elegance of an open center form is it's just that. It's simple. You have your primary multiple scaffold branches, your multiple leaders, as I have recounted, and the rest of the tree is simply composed of lateral, fruit-bearing branches. And this tree has a good number for such a young tree, and they're most excellent in terms of their presentation. Let's just look at a few here. What do you want from a lateral? The lateral, or the little wood, is your fruit-bearing surface. The big wood is your structural framework. What you want from laterals is for them to be, relatively speaking, short and stout, thick and strong. You want them to bear fruit. That's their function. If we look at this one, we have a fruit bud about to erupt into a flower, a fruit bud, a fruit bud, a fruit bud, and a forming set of fruit buds up here. So in a short order, some this year and some in the ensuing year or two, we'll have a nice lateral here, again, thick, stout, that will bear maybe up to a half dozen fruits annually. And let me say that the fruit buds on apples and pears can live and be productive at approximately the same site for a minimum of 8 to 10 years. So we're good to go here for a decade or so. And if you look around behind me, we have other examples. A nice shorty here with a bunch of flowers that have bloomed and been pollinated and set fruit. These are all individual apples here. We'll need to thin to 1 or 2 like that. And here's something that's intermediate. Again, stout and short, coming out, about to erupt with flowers and give us some fruit. We should have a really nice moderate crop once these trees are thinned in another 3 or 4 weeks to 1 apple per cluster this season, and more increasingly each year. So our work has been rewarded, as it were, with the summer pruning to shorten laterals and make them thick and strong, and to induce flower buds. And that's essentially what you want, what you get from the cutting back of a lateral in midsummer, summer pruning. It thickens and strengthens. It starts the development rather quickly of fruit buds. If left alone, a branch will be long, maybe take 2, 3, 4 years to make fruit buds, tend to have the fruit buds all out at the end, droop, sag, break. But we've adjusted it by pruning back, thickening, and inducing flower fruit buds here. At some point we'll say that's enough and make a summer pruning cut here to stop it. But for now, I'm happy. All right, let's look a little closer at this tree, and we're focusing on the lateral framework and the result of our training and pruning efforts. Let's look at 1, 2, and then 3 laterals briefly. Let's look at this one. This grew last year and then was summer pruned right here. Stopped making any extension growth and behaved according to the books. Started to get a little thicker behind the cut, yeah, and form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 fruit buds. Some of these are still in process, the little bump like that. Not quite big enough to bloom this year. Some have enough stored reserves as a result of photosynthesis, the production of sugars and translocation along here, like 1, 2, and 3 to flower, and no doubt get pollinated in fruit, and will allow a couple fruit to set here. We'll thin to 1 apple here and 1 apple there. So again, summer pruning cut, complete cessation of extension growth, thickening and formation of fruit buds behind the cut. Here we have another very similar example. Summer pruning cut, thing just had a notion to ramble and grow, tried to, but just made a little fruit bud, nascent as it is right there. And then down the stem, this is about to transition from a vegetative bud to a fruit bud. By next spring, I expect it to look like this. Express flowers and fruit. Nice cluster of flowers, nice cluster of flowers, a young formative fruit bud here. And in a nutshell, with apples and pears particularly, if you summer shorten the laterals that are moderate to weak by their very nature, laterals that have maybe been trained down towards flat to suppress vigor, if you summer prune them rapidly, certainly by the next summer, you'll get expressed fruit buds. Again, if left alone, it could take quite a number of years. And the other dividend from pruning, as we did, is a thickening and strengthening of the branch itself. Here we have a slight variation on a theme that has been, moderately successful. Summer pruning cut made here. Little weak extension, but I can see already this is not going to grow much more and is about to form a fruit bud. We're good, going forward. Ditto, same thing down here, and a little fruit bud expression down here as well as over there. And these are 3 similar but slightly different manifestations of what can happen if you're on your game with some judicious summer pruning. Now let me just say, a lateral must be inherently moderate or weak to be able to work with it to train and summer prune it to get it to be fruit productive. If it is inherently vigorous, well, it ain't gonna work. You should just put it on the ground, thin it. You go with weak vigor, even though that's an oxymoron. And this tree is also an example of, if you're doing your work and doing it well, incrementally with both your summer and your winter pruning, that as you go along in time, there's considerably less work to do. You're just doing some minor refinements, touch-up, and/or stimulation. So where I'm at with this tree right now is, in essence, I'm good, with a minor exception, which is going up top here. I would like these branches, this tree, to be maybe another 2-3 feet tall and have a set of corresponding laterals behind the extended leaders here that will bear fruit, as we have in evidence down here. So to facilitate that, I'm simply going to make a slight heading cut up here in a bud. It'll send growth out there. Similarly here. Let me scoot back here and take care of the rest. Again, I'm cutting to an outward facing bud to facilitate this growth up and out and into the light. And let me do it like that. All right, 5 cuts, that's it, pretty good. But it's basically a return on our prior investment of the incremental summer and winter pruning, plus the attention we've given to soil, water, and nutrient availability. But we're well on our way to having a highly productive semi-dwarf apple tree that will bear fruit for, whoa, I don't know, 50, 75, maybe 100 years. That's pretty good return on your investment.